Welcome back. You are listening to the home of forbidden romances. Prepare yourself, because tonight's story will leave you breathless. Blood was the first thing I tasted, copper and ash, before the vision ripped through my mind like a jagged knife. The impact of the basketball against my temple was deafening, a sickening crack that should have sent me spiraling into unconsciousness, but instead, it catapulted me forward in time. I wasn't on the polished hardwood of the St. Jude Academy gym anymore. I was kneeling in dirty rainwater, the sky above bruised purple and black, holding the heavy, limp body of the monster who had made my life a living hell for 3 years. Damon Cross looked up at me, his arrogant, handsome face marred by a jagged cut, his usually cruel lips stained crimson. He reached up, his hand trembling as he cupped my cheek, smearing blood against my skin. "I didn't want it to end like this," he wheezed, the light fading from his obsidian eyes. "I just wanted you to know. It was always you, Julian. I've loved you since the moment you looked at me with that hatred in your eyes." The vision shattered. I gasped, sucking in air as if I had been drowning. The fluorescent lights of the gymnasium assaulted my vision. The squeak of sneakers and the echo of a bouncing ball pierced my ears. I was back. Present day. I was lying on my back, staring up at the vaulted ceiling, my head throbbing with a pulse that felt like a sledgehammer. "Look at that. The scholarship rat finally knows how to lie down." The voice was deep, dripping with that distinct, velvet malice that haunted my nightmares. My vision cleared, and there he was. Damon Cross. He stood over me, blocking out the light, creating a silhouette of pure intimidation. He was the uncrowned king of St. Jude's, the heir to a corporate dynasty that owned half the city, and my personal tormentor. He spun the basketball on one finger, his other hand tucked into the pocket of his tailored slacks. Surrounding him were his sycophants, laughing, but Damon wasn't laughing. He was staring at me with an expression I couldn't parse. It wasn't the usual disdain. It was something sharper, something predatory. "Get up, Vane," Damon commanded, kicking the sole of my sneaker lightly. "Unless you want mouth to mouth." My heart hammered against my ribs, not from fear, but from the phantom sensation of his dying weight in my arms. The memory of the vision was so visceral I could still smell the rain and gunpowder. "I love you," the words echoed in my skull, overlapping with his cruel taunts in the present. "I'm fine," I snapped, scrambling to my feet. The world tilted on its axis. I stumbled, and before I could hit the floor again, a hand shot out. Fingers made of steel gripped my bicep, steadying me with shocking strength. I looked up, expecting a shove. Instead, I found myself inches from Damon's face. For a split second, the mask of the bully slipped. His eyes searched mine, scanning my pupils, a flicker of genuine concern warring with his ingrained arrogance. "Watch yourself," he growled, shoving me away the moment I regained my balance. "Next time, I won't catch you." He turned on his heel, his entourage parting like the Red Sea. "Practice is over. Get out of my sight." I watched him walk away, his broad shoulders tense under his shirt. My head was spinning, but my thoughts were clearer than they had ever been. I was Julian Vane, a straight-A student, a guy who liked girls, a guy who kept his head down. But I had just seen the future. And in that future, the devil didn't just want my soul. He wanted my heart. The days following the incident were a blur of headaches and hallucinations. The doctors called it a mild concussion. I called it a curse. The visions came in flashes, glitches in the matrix of my reality. I would be in the library, reaching for a book, and suddenly I'd see Damon's hand over mine, his chest pressed against my back, whispering possessive obscenities into my ear. I would be in the cafeteria, and the noise would fade, replaced by a vision of Damon fighting 3 men in an alleyway, screaming my name as a pipe shattered against his ribs. It was maddening. It was impossible. I was straight. I had a crush on the librarian's assistant, Sarah. I had never looked at a man and felt anything other than camaraderie or indifference. Yet, these visions were saturating my mind with feelings that weren't mine, or perhaps feelings that would be mine. In every vision, the overwhelming emotion wasn't fear. It was grief. It was longing. It was a magnetic pull so strong it terrified me. I tried to rationalize it. Stress. Brain trauma. But the universe had a cruel way of proving me wrong. 3 days later, I was cornered behind the chemistry labs. It wasn't Damon. It was a group of seniors from the rival public school, guys who hated St. Jude students on principle. Wallet, watch, shoes. The leader spat, brandishing a pocket knife. I backed up until my spine hit the brick wall. I don't have cash, I said, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. Then we'll take it out of your hide. The leader lunged. I flinched, bracing for the pain. Flash. Asterisk, I saw a fist connecting with the leader's jaw. I saw the knife skittering across the pavement. I saw black leather and silver rings. Asterisk, I blinked, and the vision overlaid reality. Damon Cross rounded the corner like a storm front. He didn't speak. He didn't posture. He simply moved with a brutal, terrifying efficiency. He caught the leader's wrist mid-swing, twisting it until the bone audibly popped. The knife clattered to the ground, exactly as I had seen. The fight was over in seconds. Damon didn't fight like a high schooler. He fought like a soldier, or a criminal. He left the three seniors groaning in the dirt, wiping his bruised knuckles on his expensive blazer. He turned to me, his chest heaving, his eyes wild. He looked me over, checking for injuries, his gaze frantic. "Did they touch you?" he demanded, his voice dropping an octave. "No," I whispered, pressing myself against the brick. "Why? Why are you here, Damon?" He stepped closer, invading my personal space. He smelled of expensive cologne and violence. He slammed his hand against the wall next to my head, boxing me in. This was the bully I knew. The intimidator. "Because you're mine to torment, Vane," he hissed, but the venom was gone, replaced by a desperate intensity. "Nobody touches my favorite toy. Nobody looks at you. Nobody breathes in your direction unless I allow it. You're crazy." I breathed, my heart doing that traitorous hammer dance again. "You hate me." Damon leaned in, his nose brushing against mine. The contact sent a jolt of electricity down my spine that shattered my straight defenses like glass. "Is that what you think?" he murmured, his eyes dropping to my lips. "You think I spend every day making your life miserable because I hate you?" He laughed, a dark, humorless sound. "You're the smartest guy in school, Julian. Figure it out." He pulled back abruptly, the cold air rushing in to replace his heat. "Go home. If I see you out here again, I'll break your legs myself to keep you inside." He stormed off, leaving me trembling in the alleyway. The vision of his death replayed in my mind. "I've loved you since the moment you looked at me." The timeline was moving. The pieces were falling into place. Damon wasn't bullying me. He was isolating me. He was obsessing over me. And if my vision was right, his obsession was going to get him killed. I couldn't let it happen. Logic dictated that I should run. I should transfer schools, get a restraining order, disappear. But the emotional resonance of the visions had dug its claws into me. I had felt his blood on my hands. I had felt the devastating weight of his loss. I began to watch him. I noticed things I had ignored before. The bruises on his ribs in the locker room, not from fights at school, but from something darker at home. The way he would stare at me during lectures, not with malice, but with a starving hunger. The way he would intercept anyone who tried to get close to me, male or female. It wasn't normal. It was toxic. It was dangerous. And God help me, it was compelling. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. The annual gala. St. Jude's threw a lavish party for the donors every year. I was there as a server, scholarship duty. Damon was there as the prince of the evening, wearing a tuxedo that cost more than my parents' house. I was carrying a tray of champagne when I felt the vibration. Another vision. Asterisk, the balcony. Rain. A gunshot. Damon falling. Asterisk, I dropped the tray. The sound of shattering glass silenced the room. I didn't care. I bolted. Vane. I heard a teacher call out, but I was already sprinting up the marble staircase, tearing off my server's vest. I burst onto the rooftop terrace. The night was cold, the wind howling. Damon was there. But he wasn't alone. A man in a trench coat stood by the edge, holding a suppressed pistol aimed at Damon's chest. It was a hit. A corporate rivalry turned lethal. Damon looked bored, almost resigned, holding a cigarette in one hand. "Does my father know you're this sloppy?" Damon drawled. "Killing me at a school function? Your father is the one who authorized it, kid." Loose ends. My blood froze. His own father? The gunman tightened his finger on the trigger. In my vision, I had arrived too late. I had found him bleeding. "Damon!" I screamed, lunging forward. I didn't think. I didn't calculate. I tackled Damon just as the thwip of the silencer cut through the wind. We hit the wet concrete hard, rolling over each other. A burning pain grazed my shoulder, tearing through my shirt. The bullet meant for his heart had skimmed my arm. "Julian," Damon roared. The sound was animalistic. He scrambled off me, shielding my body with his own. The gunman adjusted his aim, but the moment of surprise was gone. Security burst through the doors, Damon's personal detail, who had been lagging behind. The gunman vaulted over the railing, disappearing into the night. Damon didn't chase him. He didn't look at the guards. He was hovering over me, his hands frantically pressing against the graze on my shoulder. His face was pale, his eyes wide with terror. "You idiot," he choked out, his voice cracking. "You stupid, suicidal idiot. Why did you do that? He was going to kill you." I gasped, the adrenaline beginning to fade, replaced by the stinging pain. "So let him," Damon shouted, tears gathering in his eyes, the first time I had ever seen him cry. "You don't jump in front of bullets for people like me, Julian. You stay safe. That's the whole point. That's why I treat you like trash, so no one looks at you, so no one uses you to get to me." The confession hung in the cold air. He wasn't just a bully. He was a shield. A twisted, broken, misguided shield. He had made himself the villain of my story to prevent me from becoming a casualty in his. I saw it. I whispered, reaching up with my good arm. My hand trembled as I touched his cheek, recreating the gesture from my vision, but in reverse. "I saw you die. In the future. You told me. You told me you loved me." Damon went still. He leaned into my touch, closing his eyes, surrendering to the contact he had clearly craved for years. "I do," he whispered, the words ragged. "I love you so much it makes me sick. I wanted you to hate me. It was safer that way." "I'm straight," I said, the words automatic, a final defense mechanism. Damon opened his eyes. They were dark, endless, and filled with a tragic hope. "I know. And I'm a dead man walking. We don't get what we want, Julian." He started to pull away, to retreat behind his walls. But I interrupted, gripping his lapel, pulling him back down. The logic in my brain had flatlined. All that was left was the pounding of my heart and the undeniable truth that a world without Damon Cross was a world I didn't want to live in. The vision of his death had broken something in me, and only his living presence could fix it. "But," I continued, my voice gaining strength, "you just saved my life. And I just saved yours. That changes things. Julian, I don't know what this is," I admitted, looking at his lips, then his eyes. "I don't know how to be what you want. But I know I'm not letting you die alone in the rain. If you're going to fight the world, Damon, you're not doing it by yourself anymore." Damon stared at me for a long, agonizing moment. Then, he let out a shuddering breath, a sound of surrender. "You have no idea what you're asking for," he warned, his thumb brushing my lower lip. "If you let me in, I will never let you go. I will burn everything down to keep you. I'm not a good man, Julian." "I know," I said, and for the first time, I saw the future clearly. No visions. No hallucinations. Just him and me. "I'm not asking for a good man. I'm asking for you." Damon closed the distance. The kiss wasn't gentle. It was desperate. It tasted of rain, danger, and possessive fury. It was the crash of two worlds colliding, the scholar and the delinquent, the light and the dark. It obliterated my confusion. It silenced the "I'm straight" narrative in my head, replacing it with a burning, undeniable realization. I was his. When he pulled back, breathless, his forehead resting against mine, the darkness of the rooftop didn't feel scary anymore. "I saw the future," I whispered against his lips. "Yeah." Damon smirked, a glimpse of his old arrogance returning, but softened by adoration. "What happened?" "I changed it," I said. And that is how the scholar rewrote the king's fate. If you enjoyed seeing Julian take control of destiny, destroy that like button. And tell me in the comments, would you embrace a villain if you knew he was only cruel to protect you? I'll be reading your answers. Subscribe for the next chapter. Until then.